Today we're going to be talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. And the next type of polygons that we're going to be talking about in this chapter are quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals are polygons with 4 sides. So we just finished learning about triangles with 3 sides. The next thing we're going to talk about is quadrilateral, which is polygons with 4 sides. Before we get into quadrilaterals, I would like to review parallel and perpendicular lines, because those are 2 things that will help us identify and classify our quadrilaterals. All right, so we learned about parallel and perpendicular lines last year, but I want to spend a little bit of time reviewing what those 2 things are. All right, so the first thing, let's talk about some parallel lines. Parallel lines. So parallel lines are a pair of lines, or it could be more than 2 lines that are traveling in the same direction. They will never ever cross each other. If this line kept going on forever and ever, and this line kept going on forever and ever, they will never intersect. They'll never cross. They're the equal distance apart all the time, forever. So these lines here are parallel. If we look at our grid, you can see every line, this line and this line are parallel. If they kept going on and on, they would never cross, never touch. Okay, same thing. Parallel lines can go in any direction. So this line here and this line here are also parallel. If they kept going on in any direction, they would never cross each other. They're an equal distance apart from each other. Okay, they'll never cross. They're traveling in the same direction. These are parallel to each other. All right, this line is also parallel to each other. They're all parallel. If I had this line here and another line like this, these are not parallel to each other. They're not traveling in the same direction. If they kept going, they would cross. They would intersect right here. They would cross. So they're not parallel, and they're not equal distant from each other all the time. So these are not parallel lines. However, I could draw some parallel lines going this direction. This line and this line, as close as I can get it, would be parallel. Okay, they're the same distance apart. They're both traveling in the same direction. They will not cross each other if they kept going. So those would all be parallel lines. And I like to remember that the word parallel actually has a set of parallel lines in it with the 2 L's. So you can use that as a little trick. Parallel has the 2 L's and they are running parallel to each other. So those are parallel lines. The other type of lines I want to talk about are perpendicular lines. Now, perpendicular lines are lines that do intersect each other. They do cross each other, and they cross each other at a 90-degree angle. Okay, here's our 90-degree angle right here. So sometimes it could look like a cross like this, or it could look like an L. Here is another pair of perpendicular lines. They meet together at a right angle or a 90-degree angle. All right, so let's draw some perpendicular lines here on our grid. So this line here and this line here would cross at that 90-degree angle. So these 2 lines would be perpendicular to each other. I have my right angle right there. Okay, so they have a right angle. These lines would be perpendicular. Even this line here and this line here could be perpendicular to each other, because if they kept going, they would cross at a 90-degree angle. So they might not be touching and still be perpendicular to each other. Let's give another example. This line and this line are perpendicular to each other because they are crossing here at a 90-degree angle. And I can always check my 90-degree angle by using the corner of a page, a corner of a piece of paper, a corner of a 3x5 card, and matching it up to the angle and see if it fits right there. And look how nice, like there we go, there's our 90-degree angle. All right, it matches right here with the corner of our page. That's a 90-degree angle as well. So I can check to see if something is perpendicular by checking it with the corner of a page or the corner of a card. to see. So perpendicular lines cross at a 90-degree angle. So on today's page, you're going to look at a set of lines and tell whether they are parallel or whether they are perpendicular.